As I mentioned before, as we get the tables in here and we start working with this, then we understand that we can start asking questions about our content. We can create reports, we can create simple forms. And one of the things as we're working with this, let's look at queries real quick. We're going to ask a question and we're going to use the advisors table here to help kind of showcase this. And notice the order that they have this: faculty ID, rank, campus, last name, first name. So maybe we want to create a list, but we want to have it so it's first name and then last name, and then everybody's from Texas, so we don't need to have state, right? We don't probably need to have their address and state. Maybe we want to know their rank, but we'll put it to the right, and so forth. So what we're going to do is we're going to do a simple basic query for that purpose. So I'm going to come up and click on create. Up here in queries, you can use the query wizard, query design, and you can get a little more details. SQL, which is, most of all your queries are done with the SQL, and it's a structured query language that is used to help create the query that we're working for. So let's just go right into query design. Okay. Now, what's going to happen here is in the query design, you're going to have a list of fields down here or columns that you're going to fill in. And you have to tell it what are you asking, what data are you asking it the information to come from. We're going to bring over the table called advisors. We're just going to bring it over here. Now, if we have multiple tables, we will list multiple tables here. And I'm going to resize this so we can see all the fields. One of the biggest things I'm going to do is I'm going to just drag and drop. You don't have to drag and drop. I'm going to drag this to the first name. You can come over here and click on last name with the drop down list, and I'm going to choose rank. Okay, now as we're looking here, I want you to pay attention that we do have other options where we can do a sort. So I'm going to sort by last name, A ascending, A to Z, right? I can sort by rank if I wanted to. As you get into a little bit more detail, there's criterias, like for example, criteria would be like for all those people who live in Ohio. So if now everybody, all these advisors just live in Texas, so that doesn't count for that purpose. Now what I want to do here is I'm going to simply click on the run button. As you can see here, it looks like a table, but it only has the 3 columns. And here it's sorted by last name. You can resize this to make it easier to read. Okay, now you can go back in if you wanted to go back into the view button, to go to the design view, make changes to this if you need to. Okay, now this query is not saved yet. So once we go in, if there's a couple ways of doing this, we can go up to File. But if we close this, I just want to say, do you want to make changes to the design? Do you want to save changes? And you're going to say yes. Now it's going to ask you to give it a name. And I'm just going to simply name it List of Advisors. Okay, now it adds it to our query list. Again, we can have multiple queries, and that's the key. So anytime your manager or you need to, for an employee under you, that you need to give them information, you can come here and run this, print it out, and you're done. Another simple, quick thing to insert is a form. So like for example, for student information, we don't have too much students here, so we're going to go into, we're going to simply click on form. I had the student information already listed. So whatever table is open and you choose form, it's going to take those fields and it's going to put it in a vertical look. So you're not going to see all the fields. Now, can you format this to be a certain way? Yes. So maybe you want the first name filled first, second name filled second, or last name second, and so forth. You can do so. But again, how do I go in? And again, the form is not listed here. So if I close this, I'm going to ask to make changes. And you can, I like to, let's just say contact. And then the form is listed here. Now if I come back over and click create and I click on form design, then this gets a little more complicated, because then what you're going to have to do is you have to add, for example, existing fields, show your tables, and say in this case I'm going to take first name, move it over, and then I'm going to take last name, move it over. Now you can see that organizing wise there's a lot of adjusting. It's a little more complicated when you're designing this, but there's certain controls you can add that makes it better. So this part here is for more advanced, and we might get to that in another video for that standpoint. So I'm going to close that. I'm going to say no. Okay, so again, as I'm working with this, I'm going up to create. You can do a blank form. There's a form wizard that will help you out as well, and so you could tell the order. So this is usually what I'll tell students to do first, is if you don't have the order that you want, so like for example student ID, bring over first name, bring over last name, then you can do address, city, and then I click on next. I can tell it to be tabular, datasheet. I'm going to keep it columnar, and I'm going to go ahead and open this up and give this a new name. So now instead of having last name first of going in, I can have it the order that I want. So again, easy thing to do with that aspect as well. Now if you're going to take something like a query like you did here with the list of advisors, and you want to print it out, a lot of times you can print out just queries the way it is, you can print out forms the way it is, but reports give you a little more design aspects to it. So if I click on create, I can actually go in and click on report. You can see that you have the same type of options you have for form. You can go to report design. It's going to be a little more complicated for advanced users. If I do report, it automatically lists it out in a spreadsheet. What it does, it gives us kind of headers, and it kind of also keeps, as it goes into multiple pages, if it prints out multiple pages, we can set up these columns to repeat for us, so we know on the second page. Now you can see here there's a border here saying that this first name is not going to print out correctly if it prints out, and of course it's listing out all the fields automatically, so you might not want all the fields listed. Okay, so you can customize this if you wanted to. Just like before, I'm going to click on close button. I'm going to say yes. Give it a name, click OK, and it's automatically going to create the report over here. So think about this again. If I come over here and click on create and I choose report wizard, the report wizard, you're just indicating what you want to find first. So in this case, I'm going to do first name, last name, and rank. I'm going to click on next. You could do some groupings. This is a little more advanced feature in a sense. You want to group by department, you want to group by city, you want to group by state, and it'll group all the people by that. There's nothing really to group. Well, actually we can group it. We can group it by rank if I wanted to show you this. Okay, so I bring it over, see how it kind of creates a subgroup, and then I can sort. I'm going to sort by last name and click on next. Layout step is fine. You can experiment to see the differences between that. I'm going to go ahead and click on next. I give it a different name, and I'm going to finish. So as we see here, here's our grouping. Assistant instructors, we have these 3 instructors. Assistant professor, we have 5 of them. So you can see how that grouping is. If we didn't do the group, it would just list it out.